Welcome to Off the Cuff, episode 28, where we answer your questions about LEGO. Today we've got some topics for you about LEGO sales, starting LEGO, LEGO alternatives, and some more questions on the Bricklink Designer Program.
Okay.
All right, so starting with sales, we've got a few questions regarding these. You did a video about Black Friday sales, and Peter DeLuca wants to know, do you foresee a set such as Rivendell getting a discount?
I think it's possible. LEGO has put a lot of their high-end icon-style sets for sale or on sale at different times in the past. So they had the Lion Knight's Castle on sale, I think it was last year, on Black Friday at a really nice discount. They've also had other sets, the Daily Bugle. I know that's not icons, but it's a large adult-oriented set that's a couple $100s or a few $100s. So I think it's possible. Now, I tend to think that the sets that LEGO is targeting for Black Friday and Insiders Weekend will be those that have been out for a year or two. But because Rivendell has been out for a while and is not retiring at the end of this year, it could be on sale. I definitely would pay attention to LEGO announcing their sales. And of course, you can watch our videos as we unpack some of those sales coming up on both Insiders Weekend and Black Friday.
All right. Continuing on that line, Kenjiest1352 wants to know, what can we expect from Pick-a-Brick? I want to do an order, but Google says some stuff might go on sale there as well.
Yeah, it's true. Last year, during Insiders Weekend, I believe, were some deals on Pick-a-Brick or Pick and Build at the LEGO stores. It might have also been available on Black Friday. The problem is there's going to be a difference between what you find at the LEGO stores and, at least here in the United States, what you're going to be able to order off of Lego.com, because LEGO has their online pick and build selection as well. The key difference is going to be because of tariffs, you're not going to be able to get in all the same pieces that other people would be able to if they were ordering from, say, Europe or Asia. So you're going to want to keep in mind that they're probably only going to be able to ship from Lego.com the high-profile, common elements that they have, and maybe not some of the specialized ones. Mm-hmm. Of course, the benefit of Lego.com is that you can go through their entire selection and pick which pieces you want. For the in-person LEGO store pick and build or pick-a-brick walls, you're limited by what they have on their walls. And so that's going to be a variety of different options depending on, from what I've had explained to me by one of the managers at the LEGO store closest to us, is they have a list of pieces that they get to choose from. And so it's kind of whatever they feel like putting on the list and putting on the wall. So you could expect a potential deal on those either Insiders Weekend or Black Friday. Definitely pay attention to those, because that would be a great deal if they've got pieces that you need at the pick and build wall at your local LEGO store. But the online, if you're here in the United States, know that there could be some differences in terms of what you can actually order due to tariffs.
Okay, continuing with sales, but a little bit different. Craven 9125 wants to know, I want the Black Pearl, but I'm trying to get it for a cheap price. Do you think there will be better options to buy it for less?
Yes, but not in the near future. Black Friday is a really good opportunity to check out LEGO sales, as a lot of people know, but they don't usually provide the most recent releases at a discount. So if you had a set that you were interested in getting, like the Black Pearl or Captain Jack Sparrow's pirate ship, if you were interested in getting that one at a discount, it's not going to be, my guess, looking at the last 3 years of Black Friday sales, none of them were summer, even spring, summer, or fall releases. There might have been a couple of January releases for some of those sets that had a limited release window, but that's not going to be the case with the Black Pearl, because it's definitely one that's going to be on the shelves, I think, for a couple of years, especially based on the response from LEGO fans during the first couple months that it's been available. So my anticipation is that it's not going to be at a discount. You could try to go the double points route. You could try to wait. And that'd be my recommendation, honestly. Black Pearl is expensive, $380 US. I think in a year or two, you'll be able to find that one at a solid 20% discount at Lego or Lego.com. I'm not sure its availability at other retailers, depending on where you live. But that's one that I think is probably less likely to be discounted than your typical Ninjago, Star Wars, Friends, and etc. play lines that they have.
Okay. Moving on to some other topics, Robert Meyer says, I'm getting ready to retire and thought about getting into Lego.
Ooh.
Do you have any suggestions on where to start?
Oh, Robert, awesome. Congratulations on getting close to retirement. We all aspire to get there one of these days. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of great places that you can look to. What I think the first thing you want to decide is, do you want to build Lego sets or build your own things? There are a lot of people that like to build their own things. You have a little more time when you're retired. It's kind of like putting together puzzles. There's no instructions and you're trying to navigate how pieces work. What I would recommend, depending on your ability of building, is to maybe buy some Creator 3-in-1 style sets that have really versatile pieces. Build the different models for that to get a sense for how pieces can go together in really creative ways. I think the Creator 3-in-1 sets are fantastic at that. And you could get like a building, you can get an animal, you can get a couple different types of those to really hone your initial building skills if you don't have a lot of experience with Lego. If you do have quite a bit of experience over the years, maybe from when you were a kid or at some point in time, I would recommend going for, if you want to go with the MOCs, find some really good pieces on Pick a Build online and find sets that are on discount, like steep discount at Walmart, Target, Amazon, even Lego.com or Lego stores on Black Friday to get stuff at like 40% off that have really worthwhile pieces. Of course, to do that, you want to know what pieces you want, right? So that's depending on what kind of MOCs you want to build. Now, if you want to just go with Lego sets, which is fine, a lot of our building is Lego sets, although we do like to do some MOCs, you might want to start at whichever themes you are most passionate about. So if you are really into Star Wars, you can start with Star Wars, although know that those are going to be pretty expensive sets. I would wait for deals, absolutely, like 20, 30, 40% off on those. You can also take a look at some other themes, icons, ideas. Usually, icons and ideas have been really good with value over the years, but not so much in 2025. So it depends on how much money you want to spend and things like that. But I think those are a couple of different ways you could go if you're looking to get into the hobby.
Okay. Tom Murto, 9258, asks, have you thought of reviewing alternative brick sets other than Lego? Lumabricks and Fantasy have been producing some really good sets lately. So thank you to Tom for continuing in that question. How would you answer that?
Yeah, I mean, we've both looked at some of the Lumabricks and Fantasy sets over the last, I don't know how many months, because we've been scoping them out. I have nothing against possibly building with those brands at any point in time. I prefer Lego. I like Lego. I also know that Lego is really expensive and there are better deals available. My issue, honestly, with building those sets is twofold. The biggest one is that I've noticed that there are some channels that do predominantly Lego that have reviewed some Fantasy or Lumabricks or some other companies, and they don't get the views. So if Fantasy or Lumabricks were like, hey, we'll sponsor a video or we'll give you a set, tell us what you think, I'd be willing to do that. But I think one of the important things to keep in mind, because this is not our full-time gig, we spend probably about 15 to 20 hours per week on this channel. And so when you think about, like, if you took like a large modular style building that those companies do make, that would consume an entire week's worth of channel energy, time, and productivity. And so the issue that I run into that is if I know that not many people are going to watch that compared to Lego, because this is predominantly a Lego channel, then that's representing an opportunity cost that we're giving up because we're not doing Lego related content. So I'm not opposed to it. I like some of the designs, some of the builds they have. I think that they do a lot of really cool things that Lego should maybe be doing, like printed elements, maybe some light packages, things like that. But we don't have any of those predominantly for that reason. So I don't know if you would be interested in doing something like that as well, because I know you've looked at some of the sets.
Yeah, I've looked primarily at Lumabricks, and they have some really cool buildings, but their minifigs are a real turnoff, honestly, because they're very odd and toy looking, I guess. Yeah. And they've adjusted those over the years too, so there's not a consistency like you've had with Lego, which has had the minifigs since 1978. And so your minifigs from 1978, while not printed as in-depth as today's minifigs, there's no back printing, there's no dual molded legs back then, no arm printing, faces were only the smileys. There's been an evolution, but fundamentally, the minifig, the shape, the number of pieces, all that stuff has stayed the same for
almost 50 years. So
although we have the mini dolls now as well.
They do have mini dolls, yeah, for sure. And of course, Duplo has its own style of minifigs. But I would actually think the Lumabricks look more like the old school Duplo.
For sure.
One. Yeah, you notice that too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our take on Fantasy Lumabricks. Not opposed to them, but they don't fit perfectly into our channel right now.
All right. Free Rain asks, how do you get your kids excited about Lego without pushing it too much?
That's a wonderful question. Remember when we started this channel and we wanted the girls to be involved in a lot more videos? How'd that go? Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, what we found is that the more we pushed it, it really just pushed them away rather than getting them excited about it. So I think we've seen more engagement with them when we're excited about it and we're doing stuff, and we invite them to join us if they would like to, but not pushing them.
In terms of channel material, I will say that for their own Lego, they do spend quite a bit of time on, they have like a playroom where they've got their Lego, and they will build. Sometimes they'll go on like a binge for like hours and hours, if not like a whole weekend, where they just spend most of their awake time building and tweaking things. They've got a whole system of buildings for the mini dolls and some of the little Friends style animals that they have.
Yeah, they've got a whole academy thing.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. So they're very much into it for their stuff. But when you start getting it into the channel, they get a little shy around the camera. Autumn is more willing than Kiara to like say, hey, I'd like to do a video on this. And one of the videos we did over the summer, which was building a little custom boat and a little outpost for the new castle minifigs that we got in the minifig dispenser. That was Autumn's idea. She really wanted to do that, and I thought it was a great time together on that. Recently, we did our big display update, and it was kind of like, hey, we got to get this done. We ended up all working on it, but I did offer to pay them. So I don't know if that's an option that a lot of you have. But there was work that had to get done, like, sorting and doing some of that stuff that just takes time that I didn't really think I had time to do myself, and I didn't. So I did bribe them for that. But they do get involved sometimes.
That's more related to having a YouTube channel, though. Like, for the viewer who doesn't have a channel, that probably wouldn't be applicable. But I think having kids is always a fun adventure because you can't make them exactly how you want to make them, and that's just life.
Well, and as they get to a certain age, I mean, I started playing with Lego when I was 3 years old, all the way back in 1986. So next year's going to be my 40th Lego anniversary, so we're going to celebrate. But, I played with Lego from age 3 to like age 11 or 12. And then I took about 12, 13 years off from Lego. Like I built some of the stuff that I had, but I didn't buy any new sets and I wasn't paying attention to what was happening with it. And so, I went through that proverbial dark age that people talk about when they're in their teens and in their early 20s. And so, Kiara's 14, Autumn's 12. They're both at that age where I'd already kind of stopped with Lego for a brief time. So, one of the things that I found is honestly, like, if there's a really cool set that we get for the channel, they will be interested in building it. And, like, they will play with it. Most of the sets that we review, they've played with. Certainly Autumn has. Like, she loves to get into the nitty-gritty of some of the play features. So those are always really, I would say, tried and true methods of getting the kids involved.
Yeah. Okay, Bricklink Designer Program questions. 2. We've got 2 today. Masireko says, would you buy the Mountain Fortress if you could get it at the original pre-order price?
Ooh, that's a great question. But before I answer that, I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Snapshot Bricks, John and Joanna. They had a live stream celebrating their 5,000th subscriber over the weekend before we were recording this one. And they had some wonderful things to say about our off-the-cuff series. So they were really excited about that. Joanna said some very kind things about our lovely display. So we want to thank them for that and encourage you to check out their channel. Honestly, the answer is no. And I'm going to be honest with you. We did have somebody reach out about a year ago, maybe it was closer to 6 months ago, that said they had an extra copy of the Mountain Fortress and they were willing to sell it to us at cost. So no markup, which is really a fantastic deal given the markup on that set, because it was one of the original Bricklink Designer Program sets, which they only had available until like their numbers ran out and a lot of scalpers were able to get them. We declined for a couple of reasons. One, still very expensive, and while our channel is growing, the amount of resources we have to put toward Lego, that was going to be like a month's worth of revenue at the time. And also because, going back to one of the questions about alternative brands, the Bricklink Designer Program sets don't really rake in a lot of interest on the channel. They bring a little bit of interest in terms of like getting the sets, and they are very expensive. So when I think of the cost of a Bricklink Designer Program set, which can run in the $300 to $400 range, we're not going to make anywhere near that on a video. I mean, like on a large set, I hope to get 50% back on the videos. Those I'd be looking to hopefully make about $100 to $125 back, so less than 50%. And so it's really hard to justify that cost for those sets. So would I be interested? Maybe in a while when the channel grows and I'm like, hey, what's another $400? But gonna be honest with you, that's kind of tough to foresee.
All right, and the second part of Masiareko's question is, alternatively, what is your favorite already shipped BDP set of all time?
Already shipped BDP set of all time. Ooh. Okay, so I'm not going to limit it to the two that we have. We only have two. We did pre-order the Outlaw Fortress from the most recent Bricklink Designer Program Series 6, but it has not shipped. So there was a modular train station that came out that was amazing that we never got. In part because I just didn't have the money for it, but I thought it was absolutely incredible. Now we do have two Bricklink Designer Program Series sets. One of them is 4, the other one's 5, or no, 3 and 4. We've got down here, you can't see it, but Julie will put a picture up of the Seaside Market, and then over here we've got the Forest Crossing from over there. So those were really fun builds. The second one, I'll give you an additional one. So the modular train stations one, there was a remake of a Forestman set that came out, I think, in like one of the first, maybe the first or second Bricklink Designer Program series, and that was really, really cool. And that would be one that, again, I don't have, but I've watched the speed build and some reviews on it. I think that would be really cool. So those might be my two favorite, even though I don't have them, but we do have two that we have here, and I recommend them considerably. I don't think they're the same level of building as like a Lion Knight's Castle, but they are very well done.
All right, final question. Kui Gonkush wants to know, would you ever consider making an entry to the BDP castle theme?
Ooh. Yes. There are two things that I would like to do in life, Lego related. Lots of things I'd like to do in life, but one of them is to do a Lego Ideas submission based on the Christmas Story house. So that's if you don't know what that is, Christmas Story is a kind of a cult classic movie that came out in the 1980s about a kid who really wanted a Red Ryder BB gun, and it took place, the movie, in like the 30s or the 20s or something like that, like a long time ago, but it was filmed predominantly here in Cleveland and then up in like the Toronto area, and so the exterior house was filmed in Cleveland, Ohio, which is where we're from. And so it's kind of a local landmark that I would love to create and do justice. There have been a couple of submissions in the past that I just wasn't happy with. So that would be an idea submission. As for the Bricklink Designer Program, I would. However, many of you know that the sets that are released and chosen for the Bricklink Designer Program are really well executed, heavily detailed, and oftentimes go through multiple iterations before they are accepted. And so I would want to do something that was very, very creative, something that was really well done, and it would take a lot of time to do that. And so where we're at with the channel right now, I don't have the time to put into that level of a project. Like a Castle Mock, yes, a BDP submission that had a realistic chance of maybe getting chosen, that would be a lot of time for me to sink into it. So maybe in a couple of years, we'll see. Yeah. Would you get my BDP set?
Of course.
Aw.
All right, thanks for watching. Please comment below with your questions for next month. We love answering your questions. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell for notifications. And always remember to keep building together.